Have you ever felt like there's a side of you that you'd rather keep hidden? That anger you swear you never feel, that fear you never admit, or even thoughts that just don't seem to fit with who you are? What if I told you that we all have a hidden side, a kind of shadow within us, quietly shaping our thoughts, emotions, and even our choices, often without us realizing it? In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating concept of the shadow, created by Carl Jung, and discovering how this hidden part of our mind can influence and even transform our lives. Welcome to Hidden Psyche. Here, we explore the mysteries of the human mind, real-life cases, psychological disorders, and unexplained phenomena. Are you ready to face your own shadow? Carl Gustav Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist and psychotherapist, born in 1875. At first, Jung was a disciple of Sigmund Freud, the founder of psychoanalysis, but his ideas soon took a different path. While Freud focused on repressed desires and the individual unconscious, Jung believed the human mind was even deeper and more mysterious. He founded analytical psychology and introduced revolutionary concepts like the collective unconscious, archetypes, and of course, the shadow. Jung dedicated his life to exploring the mysteries of the mind, dreams, symbols, and everything that lies beneath the surface of consciousness. His work has influenced not only psychology, but also art, literature, spirituality, and even pop culture. Understanding who Jung was is essential for anyone wanting to dive into the mysteries of their own mind. For Carl Jung, the shadow is one of the most intriguing and profound parts of our unconscious. Imagine that, from childhood, you learn what's right and wrong, what you can show the world, and what you should hide. Everything you repress, desires, impulses, fears, traumas, anger, envy, shame, gets pushed down into a kind of basement of the mind. That basement is what Jung called the shadow. But the shadow isn't made up only of negative feelings. Sometimes, it also holds back repressed talents, stifled creativity, unrecognized courage, and dreams you set aside just to fit in. The shadow is, in fact, everything we don't accept about ourselves, whether because society condemns it, our family disapproves, or we're simply afraid to face it. Jung said that the more we deny the existence of our shadow, the stronger it becomes, and it can show up in unexpected ways. Sudden bursts of anger, harsh judgments of others, self-sabotaging behaviors, or even in our dreams and nightmares. Recognizing the shadow doesn't mean becoming a bad person. It means accepting that we are human, complex, and full of nuance. Integrating the shadow is a fundamental step towards self-knowledge. The shadow starts forming in childhood. From a young age, we learn what's acceptable to show and what we should hide. This comes from family, school, culture, and society as a whole. For example, if a child shows anger and is scolded, they learn that feeling angry is wrong. If they're very imaginative but are told to be realistic, they might hide their creativity. In this way, feelings, desires, and even talents get pushed down into the unconscious, feeding the shadow. The problem is, everything we deny in ourselves doesn't just disappear. In fact, the more we try to hide it, the more the shadow can show up unconsciously. This can happen through emotional outbursts that seem to come from nowhere, self-sabotaging behaviors, or even when we project onto others what we don't want to see in ourselves. You know, when you harshly criticize someone, often you're seeing in them something you don't want to face in yourself. Jung said that to be truly free and whole, we need to recognize and integrate our shadow. Only then do we stop being controlled by it. To understand Jung's shadow in practice, just look at some of the most iconic characters in pop culture. Think of Darth Vader from Star Wars. He starts out as Anakin Skywalker, a promising young man, but by repressing his fears, anger, and insecurities, he's eventually consumed by his dark side. Darth Vader is the embodiment of the shadow. Everything Anakin tried to deny ends up taking over his life. Another classic example is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The respectable Dr. Jekyll creates a potion to separate his good side from his bad side, but ends up unleashing Mr. Hyde, his shadow, who acts without moral limits. This story shows how trying to repress or ignore our impulses can make them even more dangerous. The Joker, Batman's nemesis, also represents the collective shadow of society. He's the result of abandonment, pain, and social exclusion, showing how the shadow can manifest not just in individuals, but in entire groups. But the shadow isn't just in movies. It appears in our dreams and nightmares, often as frightening figures, chases, or situations that make us uncomfortable. Jung believed these dreams are invitations from the unconscious to look at what we're avoiding. And in real life, sometimes people who seem calm and collected surprise everyone with extreme actions. Often these are examples of a shadow that's been repressed for years. When feelings, traumas, or desires are ignored, they can explode in unexpected ways. Recognizing the shadow, whether in the characters we admire or in our own actions, is the first step to not being dominated by it. Recognizing your own shadow is a crucial step toward self-knowledge and personal growth. When we ignore or deny parts of ourselves, we live in constant inner conflict, wasting energy to hide feelings, desires, or traits we consider unacceptable. This can lead to anxiety, guilt, self-sabotaging behaviors, and even mental health problems. Integrating the shadow, as Jung proposed, means accepting ourselves as a whole, with both light and shadow, strengths and flaws. This process doesn't mean befriending our faults, but rather recognizing them, understanding them, and learning to deal with them consciously. By doing this, we become more balanced, authentic, and less likely to act impulsively or destructively. We develop more compassion for ourselves and others because we understand that everyone carries their own shadows. Ultimately, integrating the shadow is a path to inner freedom. We stop being prisoners of what we hide and start living more fully, truthfully, and healthily. Working with your shadow is an ongoing process, but it can be truly transformative. The first step is self-observation. Pay attention to your feelings, overreactions, judgments, and repetitive patterns. Often the shadow reveals itself in these small details of daily life. Another powerful practice is reflective writing. Set aside a few minutes to jot down thoughts, emotions, and situations that bother you. Writing helps bring unconscious content to the surface and lets you see patterns you might otherwise miss. Dream analysis is also a valuable tool. Jung believed dreams are messages from the unconscious. Notice the symbols, emotions, and characters that appear while you sleep. Meditation and mindfulness practices help create inner space to observe yourself without judgment, supporting self-knowledge and shadow integration. And remember, seeking professional help, like psychotherapy, is always a healthy and recommended option, especially if you're facing difficult or painful issues. The important thing is to have the courage to look within, with kindness and curiosity, knowing that this is a path of growth and freedom. Recognizing and integrating our shadow is an essential step to living more authentically, balanced, and free. We all have a hidden side, and facing it with courage is an act of self-knowledge and growth. So, have you ever noticed your shadow in action? What other psychology topics or mysteries of the mind would you like to see here on the channel? Let me know in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who's also looking to better understand themselves. Your participation makes all the difference for the channel to grow, and for us to keep going together on this journey of self-discovery.